been looking for a home, been everywhere, and I've been nowhere at all. Thought it was a place, thought I saw it in your face, sometimes in the comfort of a lover's warm embrace. I'm out in this old world, just a rambling around, rambling in the country, rambling in the town, following the river across the ocean deep and wide. Stars stretching out for miles keep me through the night. Follow the music home. Follow the music home.
one single clap. Okay. Hi, I'm Cleve Corner. I'm the manager of author and speaker engagement here at the Pratt Library. Thanks for coming out this evening on a 91-degree April evening. It's going to be 59 next Tuesday, so enjoy. Everybody's going to come out here, and they're going to talk, and they're going to play music. And then if we have time for questions, we'll do questions. But if they want to play more music, we're going to play more music. And then we're going to end at 8 o'clock. And then Alice is going to go sign your book, and you can ask her more questions. Okay? First, I want to thank the Baltimore Old-Time Music Festival, our co-partner on this program. They deserve some claps. Tickets are still available for Saturday. Friday is sold out. So there's more information out there. And also Ivy Bookshop, our local indie bookstore partner tonight, who has books for sale. If you haven't bought one, you can still purchase one after the program. And with that, this evening I'm happy to welcome Alice Gerrard to the Pratt Library to discuss her memoir, Custom Made Woman, A Life in Traditional Music. I like that guy. I like it now. It's good. I need you to come home with me. My kids would love it. Alice Gerrard, an award-winning and storied folk and bluegrass musician for over 50 years, is one of the notable few women in heavily male genre. Custom Made Woman tells Gerrard's story through the music, the folk festivals, the kids, and the relationships, both personal and professional, that defined her storied life and career. Her collaborations with Appalachian singer Hazel Dickens during the 1960s and 1970s were pivotal recordings during the decades after the American folk music boom of the mid-century. The duo produced 4 albums that have recently been re-released by Rounder Records and the Smithsonian Folkways. In addition to Dickens, Gerrard has worked with folks like Tommy Jarrell, Enoch Rutherford, Otis Burris, Luther Davis, Matokie Slaughter, and founded the Old-Time Herald, based in Durham, North Carolina, serving as editor-in-chief from 1987 until 2003. This evening, Alice will be joined in conversation by banjo maker, researcher, and musician Pete Ross, as well as accompanied by musical interludes with award-winning musicians Kathy Fink and Marcy Marxer. Alice Gerrard is a Grammy-nominated old-time and bluegrass musician whose career has spanned nearly 6 decades. Pete Ross is a banjo maker, researcher, and musician who lives in Baltimore. Pete is one of the earliest contemporary makers of gourd banjos, ranging from those of his own design to exact replicas of historic instruments. His reconstructions of 18th and early 19th century banjos have been featured internationally in art galleries, movies, documentaries, live performances, and museums, including the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Museum of Musical Instruments in Brussels. 2-time Grammy Award winners Kathy Fink and Marcy Marxer are master musicians with a career spanning over 35 years. Their superb harmonies are backed by instrumental virtuosity on the guitar, 5-string banjo, ukulele, mandolin, cello banjo, and many other instruments. An eclectic folk festival on their own terms, their repertoire ranges from classic country to western swing, gypsy jazz to bluegrass, and old-time string band to contemporary folk, including some original gems. Their versatility defies a brief description. Perhaps well-rounded Americana does it best. Kathy and Marcy have performed at hundreds of bluegrass and folk festivals and taught at close to 100 music camps. The Washington Area Music Association has recognized the duo with over 60 Whammy Awards for folk, bluegrass, and children's music. They have performed with Pete Seeger, Theodore Bickel, Tom Paxton, Patsy Montana, Riders in the Sky, and a wide range of musical luminaries. They have earned 2 Grammy Awards for their recording Celebration, a tribute to Ella Jenkins, and for Bon Appetit. Their CDs, Postcards, and Banjo Talkin' were both Grammy-nominated in the Best Traditional Folk Album category. It is my great pleasure to welcome Alice Gerrard, Pete Ross, Kathy Fink, and Marcy Marxer to the Pratt Library.
Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming out, especially if you signed up when this was originally scheduled. Was it back in January? Sort of a nice coincidence that it's now at the same time as the Baltimore Old-Time Festival this weekend. So also thanks to Enoch Pratt for putting this on. And also, most importantly, thanks to Alice, who really arranged for the rest of us to join her on stage here today.
Absolutely.
So let's get to the book. Like my first question is, or at the near the beginning of the book, you talk about not really flourishing in an academic environment, as well as not getting much out of formal music training, yet you're a multi-instrumentalist. You taught yourself guitar, banjo, fiddle. You've put out more recordings and are part of more musical collaborations than you have time to name in the book. It's led to you earning the unofficial title of one of the first ladies of bluegrass. You're a citizen, scholar, folklorist, documenting music and musicians throughout the Southeast. And to facilitate that documentation, you taught yourself photography, creating a home photo printing lab that lives in the bathrooms wherever you move. And you move a lot of places, following the music wherever it leads you. You're politically active the whole time. These things are going on. Your music and yourself were present and speaking out for the needs of working Americans. You started a magazine devoted to traditional string band music while living in a town where nobody seemed to have a computer, so you taught yourself desktop publishing, all while raising children largely as a single mom, and whilst training your dog to fetch you beer from the fridge and deposit the empties in the recycling. So, to name a few things. So my question is, how have you done all this? Has God allotted you more hours in the day than the rest of us?
No, I don't think so. Well, I don't know. My job was, everything was music related, so all that stuff, except for the dog getting the beer.
That's important. Beer's an important part of music.
Pardon me?
Beer is an important part of music.
Oh, yeah. For sure. But it's just been what I did all my adult life. Once I discovered this music, just like...
So your days were arranged around it. Did you no full-time jobs in this period? Just everything was oriented towards...
No, I never had a full... Well, I did have,
like
years and years ago, GS, whatever the lowest grade of GS, whatever was. I had a job as a clerk typist when my husband was in basic training.
Right. Cool.
So that was it. Oh, and working in a sandwich shop. Where if the bread fell on the floor, everybody said it fell on a piece of paper. That's how it goes.
Well, maybe this would be a good time for you all to jump in with a song, and maybe Mama's Gonna Stay.
Yeah.
Great song.
Oops. I wrote this song when my kids were little. They're all big here now. And I'm sure that all parents have felt this way at one time or another. I would guess. And I recorded it early on with Hazel Dickens. And by the way, I'm so glad to have old friends of mine join me here with Kathy Fink down there. And Marcy Marks are here. And of course, Pete. Yeah, great banjo builder, by the way. Let's see, I think I just start this. In the early morning light, I creep on down the stairs. Hush you floor, keep your squeaking down. And the smell of good hot coffee and the silence all around. Nothing but my thoughts and the stirring of a song to break the sad, sweet feeling, Lord, of being all alone. And if I'm very still, I can drain this holy hour. And if I'm lucky, stretch it out to two. Before the world comes crashing and down the stairs comes truth, and ratty hair, and I can't find my shoes. And I don't know, Lord, I don't know if I can make it through. But I hope you know how much I love you, 'cause I guess it ain't showing much these days. Just old dreams of yesterday keep on getting in the way of picnic days and daisy chains. Come on, let's all go into town today. I've helped you make your bed and put your clothes away. Well, anyway, I guess I'm gonna stay. So come on now, your mama's gonna stay. In the early morning light, I creep on down the stairs. Thank you.
So I think it's true for a lot of people that the sort of folk revival era, like your introduction was from Harry Smith's anthology of American folk music. I'm sort of curious, like what that was like at the time, and sort of what were the other kind of folkies like at the time? Was it really a bohemian scene right away? Was it countercultural? Were politics always part of it from the start? What was it like at that?
Well, yeah, it was kind of all those things. It was the one of the folk revivals, of the many folk revivals, where folk music was becoming sort of popular, but people didn't know too much about traditional music, or the real folk music, or whatever you want to call it, until Harry Smith, who was a record collector from New York City, decided to have this idea of putting out a collection, an anthology of commercially recorded 78 records that were all traditional music. And it had everything on it. It was several LPs. I forget how many. Do you remember?
I think it's three.
Three could be. And LPs, or as I think you call it now, vinyl. And it had everything. It had blues, it had Cajun music, it had unaccompanied stuff, it had dance music. It was just amazing. And it blew a lot of people's minds, not just mine. But when I heard that music, didn't have the anthology, but a friend of mine, my boyfriend, Jeremy Foster, had a copy and he loaned it to me. And it was like, oh, this is so great. And so I started looking for more recordings and found I was going to Antioch College at the time. And in the music library, I found a 78 recording of Texas Gladden, who was a singer from around Hillsville, Virginia, and unaccompanied singer. And she was amazing. I loved the sound of her voice, and everything was so real and so powerful. And I fell in love with it, and that's how I got started, really. And then I just, as this music is, it's never been sort of a written tradition. People learned this music by hearing other people playing it in their communities, their fathers or their mothers or other neighbors and things like this. And so that's what most of us did too, who were trying to learn it. We just would go up to somebody and say, can you show me that chord on the guitar or the banjo or whatever? And you just learned that way from listening, which is majorly important.
So what were the other folks like? Were they in the revival era that you
Well, they ranged from you know, people like the Chad Mitchell Trio. I can't remember all the names, but like Judy Collins and Joan Baez were part of it, and so it was kind of this mix of things, there were also union songs. You know, I've always
Right, I was wondering
been
about
a
that.
part of
Yeah.
this stuff, and in traditional music, people have always written about conditions like in the cotton mills and stuff like this, yeah. So it wasn't unusual, and it became part of it, you know, through people like Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger and all that, and many others. So it was a little bit of everything going on.
Cool. Maybe play a little Follow the Music on that subject?
Okay. What you gonna play? C, follow. So this kind of talks a little bit about my feeling about why I love this music. Let's see. I don't do this too often. Let me start again. Since I was a child, I've been looking for a home. Been everywhere, and I've been nowhere at all. Thought it was a place, thought I saw it in your face. Sometimes in the comfort of a lover's warm embrace. And I'm out in this old world, just rambling around, rambling through the country, rambling in the town, following the river, cross the ocean deep and wide. Stars stretching out for miles keep me through the night. Follow the music home. Follow the music home. Sometimes in the night I hear a lonesome old song, or a ghostly fiddle calling, where you been so long? And if I follow the music to where I want to be, it will take me to safe harbor and guide me home. Follow the music home. Follow the music home. Follow the music home. Follow the music home. Follow the music. Thank you.
So let's talk about something that I think people would be really interested in. You're kind of known for your collaboration with Hazel Dickens, and that occurred here in Baltimore.
Yes,
Correct? In the 60s?
or she'd come over to D.C. where
Or
I
in
was.
DC. So, I mean, I think people would like to hear what the setting was here, things were like here, what brought people here to play music, and like we were talking about earlier before you came on, the country music parks like Sunset Park that are not far from you at all, that had just tons of great musicians.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think one reason there was so much music here and around D.C. and Virginia and other places in that area and up in parts of Maryland and Pennsylvania, where the parks were, a lot of them, was that so many people from the South had moved up here when after World War II, and there weren't a lot of jobs, and they settled around the D.C. and particularly the Baltimore area, because there were a lot of factories here, like Dixie Cup. I know Hazel worked in the Dixie Cup factory. Is that still around?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't know.
And so there was, and when people migrate to different parts of the country, they bring their traditions with them. They bring their foods, they bring their music, and that's kind of what happened, so that there was a lot of music around here. Mostly, there was a whole slew of people up north of Baltimore, like Ola Belle Reed, who had come up from near Sparta, North Carolina, and Fields Ward, Wade Ward's brother, lived up here. Just lots of different people and they settled in around just north of Baltimore, kind of, sometimes into Pennsylvania. But so there was, and you bring their music, and so you find places to play it, and there were bars on every corner in Baltimore, there was a bluegrass band in every bar.
Those are still around.
Yeah. And there was music on the radio. I mean, actually, this guy named Tim Newby wrote a book called Baltimore Bluegrass or something like that kind of talks about the whole scene around the music scene here. And the Stoneman family lived around out between D.C. and Baltimore.
Yeah, they're like in PG outside of D.C., right?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't remember exactly where, but
Very rural
but,
then.
Yeah, but there was this place called the Famous Barn Grill, I think it was called, across from the Trailways bus station in D.C., and the Stoneman family would play there a lot, and they were originally from around Galax, Virginia. So yeah, so that it was happening, and then people found out via this search for authentic music that a lot of these people they thought were dead were still living, and so they went out looking for them. They found Mississippi John Hurt. They found just Doc Boggs and lots of wonderful musicians that were still playing music, and so that was happening. They were bringing them up to the folk festivals in the north, and so there was a lot going on, and a lot of young people like me at that time, and people from New York like David Grisman and Jody Stecker and other people were also getting interested in the same way that there were a bunch of us who just loved this music, and they were trying to learn it too, and so there were a lot of people.
Do you remember any of the places in town here that people
Well,
played
there
at?
were, I think the wasn't the Cozy Inn, the Blue Jay? I can't remember. There were a bunch of them, and yeah.
The first long conversation I had with you and Mike, you were sort of picking my brain for what was still left in Baltimore because you knew I lived here. And I didn't know most of the places, but there was a little music shop I think is still there that an instrument shop that caters to Peabody students. That's right there.
Oh, really?
Mount Vernon. Ted's, exactly.
Oh, yeah. That rings a bell. Yeah. Well, and there was, well, shoot. Because I lived in D.C., so I would come over here, and I don't know where I am in Baltimore anymore.
Yeah. That's how I feel when I go to D.C.
I know. But there were a lot of, Hazel lived here, and sometimes we'd come from D.C., a bunch of us would drive up to Baltimore, pick up Hazel and whoever else was here who wanted to go up into the country music parks like Sunset Park and New River Ranch and spend the afternoon on Sunday just listening to
Those parks look so
music.
cool.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Looks like
And
a county fair kind of, except it's oriented around
Yeah,
music.
didn't you say something about Leon?
Dan Karsky.
Yeah,
he
wrote
photographed and recorded tons of those shows there.
Yeah.
One of his recordings was released because Johnny Cash played there in '61, and
Yeah,
he was like a hi-fi nut, so he had high-end stuff that could really make clear recordings.
yeah.
But he recorded all the fill contests and things
Yeah.
there, which I'd love to hear. But
Well, And Mike and Jeremy, my husband too, they recorded. I mean, they just go up, it was not segregated in the way where, you have to have certain tickets to talk to people and they go hide in the green room and never come out. But it was just open season, and it was like your family had come back after a couple of years and you were meeting them again, and they'd go have lunch with you if you invited them to a picnic. And one time Bill Monroe set up a baseball game back in the field between his shows. And they just play all afternoon. And there's usually a house band, like Ola Belle Reed was a house band.
She had a radio show as well, right?
Yeah, she had a radio show.
And there was a radio show out of Baltimore that was like a honky-tonk and bluegrass show. It was on Hartford Road. That's where Leon hung out. And
yeah.
I forget who's the guy who became the voice of the Opry?
Oh, Johnny's Used Cars, yes. So, pardon me?
Right, Ray Davis.
Ray Davis,
who
right.
Had a show there. He was from
Yeah.
Eastern Shore, Maryland, and he became the voice of the Grand Ole Opry for a while, I think.
And WAMU, when it was, he had a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, Eddie Stubbs, right?
So,
Yeah. Here's the guy.
yeah, okay. Thanks. Yeah. Before we go to the next song,
Yeah.
a question that always comes up in book talks, where'd the title of the book come from, Self-Made Woman?
Well, I wrote a song called Custom Made Woman. So, and I've known Kathy for a very long time. I don't know since when, Kathy, but
I'm going to say 1975.
yeah.
I saw you perform before we met
At Mariposa?
at the
yeah.
Mariposa Folk Festival, and that had to be probably 72 or 3.
Okay, yeah. I was up there with Hazel probably.
Yeah,
Oh, is that when they had that women's workshop? It was sort of the beginning of,
it was the very beginning of the women's music scene that overlapped with what I'm going to say the melting pot of the folk revival of that time, that round of the folk revival. And there were also, a fair number of songs that were anti-war, anti-Vietnam War, and I think that opened the doors for more songs about equality and justice, and more new songs along those lines. And so Hazel and Alice were in some kind of a women's songs workshop, and it's not that there wouldn't have been a women's songs workshop in the past, it's that it would have been a lot of old traditional songs, and some of them, as Alice said, would talk about social justice, workers' rights, how Frankie Armstrong sang a great one. Why should the women work more than 9 hours a day? I mean, a lot of them had their British roots and all. But when Alice and Hazel sang the custom-made woman blues, it was like a mini earthquake happened in the audience. I think it was an incredibly important moment because the songwriters up to that time, particularly around the whole Mariposa world, you had people like Leonard Cohen and Joni Mitchell. Although they were peripherally connected to the folk scene, that wasn't where their musical roots came from, as it was with Hazel and Alice. And there was quite a lot of amazing, songs that went with anti-war rallies, and those were really important. But this was the tip of the iceberg, and it opened a lot of doors. Now, of course, I don't know how much earlier, 10, 20 years earlier, there were a few songs that in commercial country music that had come, pointing out the discrepancies and inequalities. But this was a minor earthquake amongst the whole audience, and a really important moment in the folk scene. I think it made a lot of women realize, oh, we could write our own songs. Now, it's not the first time that ever happened. Patsy Montana did that in 1935. Ola Bell did it, you know, in the 50s and 60s. But it was new audience that didn't have all that history. And so here's Alice and Hazel with a combination of the history and modern thinking, and doing exactly what Ola Bell had done, which was create something new in the tradition that spoke to people today. How'd that come out?
That was great,
Testify.
Kathy.
I can't.
I'll never forget that workshop because we were kind of clueless in a sense. We weren't, but we had sort of gotten hints that something was going on in this world with regard to women, but we weren't quite sure what it was. And then when I sang this song and then they made me sing it again right immediately, we sort of said, what the heck is going on here with this? So it was, I'll never forget it.
Well, it's like
I didn't
a
realize
faucet
you were there.
opening, and then when you listen to the continued new songs, written songs in the Hazel and Alice repertoire, you hear more and more of that.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that one important thing is everybody learned those songs, right? And we also went to those records to learn the Louvin Brothers or the Blue Sky Boys or whoever it may be, because the tight harmony, everything that we had heard in the world of tight harmony, or almost everything that we had heard in traditional music, was the male duet singers, you know, the Blue Sky Boys, you know, that whole ilk. And here were two women pulling that off. That was another game changer in a very important way, and that's what.
Thus the first ladies of bluegrass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Well,
maybe-
actually,
Go ahead.
we might not have been, there were other people. Just,
I'm sure you deserve them.
there's Betty Amos and her all-girl bluegrass band. Anybody remember them around the DC area? Anyway.
Well, let's hear some custom made.
Yeah, okay, so I just wanted to quickly ask, is Buddy here? Okay, come on. Oh, yeah, so you're going to start this?
Sure, you
1, 2, 3. Oh, well, I tried to be the kind of woman you wanted me to be, and it's not your fault that I tried to be what I thought you wanted to see. Smiling face, shining hair, clothes that I thought you'd like me to wear. Made to please, not to tease, it's a custom-made woman blue. Yes, I tried to be the kind of woman you wanted me to be, and I tried to see life your way and say all those little things you'd like me to say. Loving thoughts, all guaranteed to keep a hold of your man. Made to please, not to tease, it's the custom-made woman blues. Take it there. You're tired of me and all those things I thought you wanted me to be. Is it true you want someone who knows how to think and do on her own? Lord, it's hard to realize the lessons I learned so young were nothing but lies. Made to please, not to tease, is the custom-made woman blues. Yeah, made to please, not to tease. It's the custom-made woman blues. Thank you.
So
Thank
talk-
you.
You talk about it a little before meeting the old-time musicians. Like a ton of the book is photos and accounts of those people. Can you tell us a little bit what it was like first time you went to a real old-time fiddle contest, and like when that was, or what it was like when you first were like, I heard your 78 RPM record, and here you are in front of me playing music. Like,
Yeah.
what was that like?
It was amazing. I mean, to visit with people who played this music in their everyday lives, and did a lot of that. And then when I moved to Galax for about 8 years, I lived in the community where there was a ton of this music. It was kind of the last gasp of the old folks who had learned before the advent of records and TV and all that stuff. And it was great. I mean, I wouldn't have traded that experience for anything.
Was Galax the first fiddle contest you went to?
Oh,
or-
well, yeah, maybe it
Fine.
was. Before I moved there, yeah, I think we had gone down to the fiddle, because I remember Hazel and I were there, and then Joel, I think, was with me, and he got lost at the Fiddlers Convention. He's my son. And the next thing I knew, he was on the stage with the MC guy, and the guy, he's kind of crying a little bit, maybe, and the guy was saying, "There's a little boy here. His mom, he's lost his mom." You know. I'll never forget that. That was Galax.
That was my first fiddle contest too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we were participating necessarily, but we might have. It's a long time ago.
Okay. Want to hear some "Calling Me Home"? Maybe it's good time for that tune.
Okay.
We probably have time for a couple.
Okay, let me
Tunes before
put
we
this
go to Q&A.
down, and if somebody can, let's see. This is a song I wrote directly as a result of living in Galax and having spent so much time with the older folks. And the Galax Gazette was the local paper, and you'd always see obituaries and weddings and all this stuff in it. And so I wrote this song. It's called "Calling Me Home." Got a G. An old friend lay on his dying bed, held my hand to his bony breast, and he whispered low as I bent my head, "Oh, they're calling me home. They're calling me home. My time has come to sail away. I know you'd love for me to stay, but I miss my friends of yesterday. Oh, they're calling me home. They're calling me home. I know you'll remember me when I'm gone. Remember my stories, remember my songs. I'll leave them on earth's sweet traces of gold. Oh, they're calling me home. They're calling me home. Now, friends, gather round and bid me goodbye. My body's bound, but my soul shall fly. my little light shining from the sky. Oh, they're calling me home. They're calling me home. Don't play the chorus. Thank you. Okay, don't play as you play. Thank you so much. And that one time, the line about, I miss my friends of yesterday, there was this old fiddler who was 92 years old, and he was visited by a friend of his who was all about the same age, and they were sitting around talking, and they were talking about the fact that they missed, there was nobody around anymore who had been through all the things they had been through, the advent of the automobile, to say nothing of planes, air, TV, radio, stuff like that. And they said they missed the fact that there were no people left that they could really share this with at this point. So but they got a lot of pleasure out of telling us all about it. It was great. Yeah.
Do you mind if I pop a question?
Sure, we have a little time.
Yeah. I wonder if you would talk a little bit about the Southern Folk Cultural Tours and what kind of influence they had on your music, because you got to meet some of those people who were on 78s or who were willing to do something that was relatively, brave at the time.
Yeah. Okay, well, it started out with different names, Southern Folk Festival, but it was essentially started by two women. One was Anne Romaine from Gastonia, North Carolina, and Bernice Johnson Regan. And they were, who was one of the original,
Snick singers?
yeah,
Snick singers, yeah.
was it Snick Singers?
I define that for
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
student.
doesn't matter. She was an amazing person and an amazing singer, African American, from Georgia, I think.
Freedom Singers?
Freedom Singers, that's it. The Freedom Singers, one of the original Freedom Singers. And they were both living in Atlanta at the time, in the early 60s, working with the civil rights movement. And Anne had this idea that people were discovering musicians and bringing them up north to play at festivals and stuff like this, and they weren't taking them around to their home areas in the South. And so they thought they should start something that would do this, a tour, a mixed race tour, so that black musicians and white musicians would travel together and play in the South and speak to the struggles of working people. And when you get somebody like Roscoe Holcomb or Johnny Shines talking about their life, it really has a lot of that this true stuff that's coming out here about people and when they sing. So for years, Hazel and I, they asked Hazel and me to be on this tour, and we'd go travel around the South. There were, I can't tell you the number. I could go down a list of people, but I talk about it in the book some. But people like Ola Bell, she and Bud were on the tour, and Johnny Shines, a blues player, and Reverend Pearlie Brown from Americus, Georgia, who's also a singer and guitar player. And we toured around all the time in the South. Went for about a week or two each time, and would just have a great time. And I think that was really very influential on, I think for Hazel, who had lived through a lot of these things, growing up in West Virginia in a coal mining family, and she had kind of lived this stuff. And for me, it was just like super influential to see and talk to people who were living. And I read this wonderful book called, oh, I'm going to forget it now. Anyway, I'll try to think of it. But so I think it gave her, Hazel, sort of permission to write about some of this stuff. And for me, it just was something I wanted to do. So that was kind of the beginning, partly the beginning of our songwriting stuff. It was very influenced by that tour. And it was an amazing thing that was going on. And it lasted as long as Anne lived. She died of appendicitis, busted appendicitis. No health insurance. I know. Anyway, sad story. So that was kind of,
Pretty interesting.
yeah, yeah.
And it's good to read about in the book.
Yeah, there's a lot about it in the book. And everybody, everybody who went on the tour was very clear that this was an unusual thing, and they really wanted to be on the tour and talking about their lives and experiences and having it paid attention to.
So
Yeah.
I think we have some time left for questions.
Okay.
Does anybody have questions? There's microphones at either side.
Yeah, if you have a question, direct it to that mic or to this mic, just because we also are live streaming this on our YouTube page. Got a question coming over to that side.
I'm just wondering if any of Alice's family, children, play music.
Go ahead and ask them.
Well, the grandkids more so. I would drag them to these camps that I would teach at, and they'd run loose and wild with all their kid friends and learn how to play fiddles and stuff like that. So they did some of that, and then, well, I won't go on about it. Embarrass you. So, yeah.
Alice, thanks for being here. And we had a question just with your perspective over the years, and particularly in more recent years, collaborating with some younger musicians. What do you see as the future for this music, and perhaps what gives you some hope that it's in a good place?
Well, I mean, I've taught a lot at these summer music camps and teaching at Common Ground on the Hill, is that the name of it? At Westminster this year in July. And there are, a lot of people go to those camps to learn this music from older people teaching it, not always older people, and the old original people, they're gone now. We're it. And and kids go to these camps too, and there are a lot of people who go for the social community aspect to it, and then there are some that come out of it really making it part of their life. And and also there's the JAM program, Junior Appalachian Musicians, that got started by a woman named Helen White up around Independence, Virginia. And they're young people. It's all over, especially in the mountain areas. And I don't know if it goes much beyond that. Do you know, Kathy?
We're in Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia now.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's a growing program, bringing very young kids up in old-time music. And in Ashe County, North Carolina, they kind of just started their adult jam program for adults who are like late bloomers. Yes, I want to learn how to play the banjo or the fiddle.
Yeah. And you never know, and so they get together and they have jam sessions, and they learn from people, not from books. And so it's really, there are a lot of young people, including just a batch of 20s and 30s that I've been hanging out with to some extent when I lived in Durham. North Carolina, a lot of people had moved there because of the music, and people like Tatiana and Reed Stutz and people like that, and I play with them as often as I can, and it's great. And they really appreciate, it's really important to them where it comes from. And, they listen to the older people, and they really appreciate what was, what the people that they learned from on records and stuff like this, but still.
Pete, we have a question from the audience watching online. And Alice, the question is, can you talk about your experience putting the book together, the resources you used?
Well, I didn't want to do it. That was the first thing.
That was a question from your publisher. No, I'm kidding.
It was the last thing on my mind, was doing a book, but I had this position for one semester at the Duke Center for Documentary Studies, where they have this endowed chair that is specifically for hiring non-academics to teach something that they know. And so a couple of people that worked there were trying to talk me into doing this, and I was saying, no, I don't want to do that. I've never graduated from college. I don't want to teach a class at Duke University. And so that went away for a while, but then they kept bugging me about it. And finally I agreed to do it. Fortunately, this young man who was studying folklore at University of North Carolina asked to be my student assistant. And he was Mike Taylor. I don't know if you've heard of His Golden Messenger at all. Mike Taylor was that guy. And he eased me into it and told me what a syllabus was and that I needed to have one and should do this. Stuff like that. But the biggest thing was they had all this great equipment in the Center for Doc Studies, computers and printers and all this, and digitizers. So I had been carrying around a lot of black and white negatives for many years, just dragging them around with me wherever I went, and they weren't getting any healthier. And so I thought, well, I'll just use this equipment here. So I started going in the evenings and on weekends and started digitizing my negatives on their equipment. And people would come by, and look at what was on the computer screen. And the guy who was running the program came by one time. He said, you should do a book. And I was like, not really. But then he kept after me over years, and I was busy. I was touring a fair amount, and it just wasn't something I'd ever thought I wanted to do. But they kept bugging me, and at some point I said I would. And my idea was for it to be a book of photographs with stories around the photographs. And then when I took the idea into somebody, they said, no, you've got to write about yourself. And then that was like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. And so it went on for another few years before I said, well, maybe I should try it. And then it was sort of fun, digging back into everything.
If there are no more questions we have before we sign, maybe another song?
Yeah, if you could give us one more song, we'd love it. That'd be great.
Okay, well, you want to do? Paid? Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
Cool. Tell the story. It's a great story.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I spent a fair amount of time in Mount Airy, North Carolina, visiting this fiddler who lived there by the name of Tommy Jarrell, and his daughter, Ardini, worked in a hosiery mill there. And she worked hard. There were no unions, of course, and she worked hard and didn't get much pay. But she'd come over all the time and hang out at Tommy's when he had people over, and she'd cook and do all this stuff. And she was a good friend. And I wrote this song kind of for her. It's called Payday at the Mill. Let's see, what key are you? Are we still in town? Okay, now I got to get the melody in my head. Oh, yeah. I got a swing in my walk, got a song in my talk. I'm a weekday working woman, weekend queen, a time clock lady with a lazy dream. I ain't got no fancy furs, diamond rings or silks. I'm just right for Saturday night, it's payday at the mill. Lord, 8 hours sewing up collars and sleeves. The pay's too little and I gotta live cheap. So I stitch and I sew and I stitch, and all it gets tired while the boss gets rich. But look out now, I'm counting the hours till I break out of this old jail. I'm just right for Saturday night, it's payday at the mill. Take it, Laurel. It's hard to be a working woman in a boss man's world. If I slow down, they'll find another girl. Saturday's coming and the only time I'll keep is to the rhythm and the beat. Fancy duds, dancing shoes, good times are where you been hid. I'm just a right for Saturday night, it's payday at the mill. Marcy marks her. Woo! Well, now, there's some weary mornings at 5:45 when I wish I had a man to bring a paycheck in. But you can't have it all. You can't disagree that I come when I want, go when I please. So backstep, you good old boys, I'm a kicking up my heels. I'm just a right for Saturday night, it's payday at the mill. I'm just a right for Saturday night, it's payday at the mill. Thank you. I forgot to mention that Ardini loved to flatfoot dance, and people, Tommy was always playing music, but people would come by, and if she was there, she would just dance all the time to the music.
Please help me thank Kathy Fink and Marcy Markster.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oops, I'm sorry. Tonight's moderator, Pete Ross. And our reluctant, but we're glad you wrote the book, author, Alice Gerrard.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks to these guys for playing with me, and thanks to Pete. Asking questions and whatever. Making banjos.
So
Making good banjos.
we're going to be, Alice will be outside, sign your book, talk some more. We'll be out there in about 5 minutes. Thanks again for coming out.
Thank you, people.